Boot camp going down next month. Super thrilled, super excited. I'm gonna make this like this is lunch. Zucchini noodles, right? Tomatoes, jalapenos, cucumbers, peppers, little black pepper, little Celtic salt. Ooh, I'm good. I'm good. Like, for real, I'm feeling so good. See the smile big. But I'm really full. I'm having fun fruiting up. I'm fruiting up at an all-time high. We eating all fruits. You feel me? I'm on herbs. Life is good. I can't complain. Boot camp going down next month. We just living good, family. And this is what we do. All the high-level beings on the planet is eating like this. Shouts out to my brother's Paul's Law, because I see him eat like this all the time, and now I see why. I see why. I get it. I'm taking heed.
Yeah, no way a woman could actually be intelligent and carry herself eloquently. She looks too nice. Her setup is too perfect. Nah, she gotta be AI. Y'all might want to watch out for her.
Greetings. We are here. Please share the live. Welcome. Fruit Up with Bobby Smith. Fruit Up with Bobby Smith, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You know what? Because tonight we got somebody in the building who just don't talk about trends. She decodes timelines. You feel me? Like, I know that sounds crazy. She decodes timelines. So tonight, this is not just solely for entertainment. This is to really learn, really get some insight, get some familiarity. You know, let me get my words right, with what's really going on out here and how we could be evolving in a different way. That's how I look at this. So this is going to be a great conversation, magnificent being in the room with us. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have this conversation. And I'm going to just bring my sister to the stage. And y'all probably know her off of TikTok. That's where she do a lot of her work at. But tonight we bringing her to all of my platforms. And let's make sure if you got any questions, make sure you put them in the chat and I'm going to get to them. So let's get to it. Let's bring my sister on, Taylor Declue. Taylor, are you there?
Oh.
Greetings.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Glad to have you on. Thank you for being on the platform tonight. Thrilled to have you on. Honored to have you on. I'm a big, huge fan, follower of you, and I love the information you bring. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. I'm feel good. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. I wasn't familiar with your content before we met on TikTok, but I was checking out everything you offer, and it just made me really happy to see, because there's a lot of futuristic movement happening right now, and the more that we have people like you who are out here teaching and educating, the better the future looks. So happy to be here.
Indeed. I feel the same way about you. Right before we came on, I was telling you, I consider myself a truth seeker. You know, I'm a fruitarian, but you know, I ran into what we're eating and everything by seeking truth. And so I'm always online looking at information. So when I ran into you, I was like blown away. Like truly blown away, not only at the information, but the presentation of the information. How exact and how direct it is. It's really refreshing. So for the people who don't know Taylor Declue, can you please give them a little insight about who you are?
It's always so weird to like give yourself a title. I think that I just do it now at this point because I have an online presence and I am seeing the importance of what it means to be a teacher in this space and an educator. But what I do is called decoding, but honestly, a lot of it is me just delayering all the hidden things that happen in our country, outside of our country, and throughout history. I started off probably just learning about myself and the world around me, traveling, growing up. And then as I got older, evolved into motherhood. First thing I did, I started a podcast back in 2022. When I gave birth to my daughter, this was my second child. My first child, I learned a lot about my connection to sacred medicine, who I was as a teacher and what I was here to do. As that evolved, I became one of the first public people to come out as a woman, especially a woman of color, talking about how I utilized sacred medicine during my birth and giving birth,
Mm.
which is very controversial for a lot of people who don't understand the medicine and how it works. And then after that, I don't know, I think my consciousness just expanded after that. And I said there needs to be more spaces for people who look like me to go ahead and tell people what's going on in the world. Slowly but surely, it came to unlocking patterns or decodes, which are really just repeat things that have happened throughout history over and over that we're seeing happen and occur on a loop. I started utilizing, technology to learn how to merge these worlds together, which is something people fear right now. They fear all of this AI and this tech, but it's ancestral. It's something that we all hold within us. And I think if we're able to have a different perspective on it, we can merge all these worlds together to understand brain power is our ancestral knowledge, that is our lineage, and that's our inheritance. So I just really love teaching. TikTok was just like a fun space during COVID, and then it allowed me to kind of branch off and find my own thing. So I'm very grateful for that.
Wow, you definitely are on another level with it, right? When you talk about the way you talk about what you do, it makes a lot of people, like you say, get scared. And they think this is some type of eerie thing, and we shouldn't be talking about any of this, and we're going to get replaced by these type of things. Where before we get started, where are you from?
I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, but I've lived in New Orleans, Louisiana for about 14 years now.
Wow, wow, it's New Orleans. And okay, so yeah, when you were covering the Super Bowl, you were really going in on the New Orleans history and stuff, and that was so refreshing to hear too. So before we get started though, so you are on TikTok with a heavy presence. Your following is growing really fast. How is that? How do you receive that? Like, is it like a form of celebrity, or like how do you receive the feedback that you get from TikTok?
I don't really view it as celebrity. I think that's a whole nother world. I learned from early educators like Brother Panic, Bobby Hemmett, Seven Bomar, mostly masculine teachers. And I never really viewed them as celebrities. I viewed them as priests. Like if this were another space and time and we were not online like this, we would be in
Mhm.
temples, we would be learning in mystery schools. And so when I started getting my work started picking up, I had a viral post about the Simpsons
Yeah.
blow up. And that's kind of what took everything off from there. A lot of people are in my inbox, a lot of people have questions, and it's really complicated because the internet in itself is a grid of time and space. And so it's not just somewhere we hop on our phones and get online. We're interacting with wireless signals across the world with people everywhere. So it's a little
Yeah.
overwhelming at first, but for me, it's really no different because I grew up with my stepdad putting us in programs where we had to public speak a lot. And I think I was just prepping for what I already knew my spirit was here to do.
Indeed, indeed, and people, you are so well spoken. Often people say, "You sound like AI," and you don't sound like. So, how do you take what? How do you take that when people say that you sound inauthentic or you sound like AI?
Well, I think people have to have an understanding what AI actually is first, because right
Mm,
now, with its height and people starting to use things like Chat GBT, there's a lot of confusion around. People think that this actually is an ancient knowledge that was already here. This is not anything new. The Sam Altmans, the Elon Musk of the world, they didn't just grab this out of nowhere. They weren't just so smart where they made this up in a room. This was ancient knowledge that was inherited, even stolen from certain places and repurpose. So when people say I sound like AI, I just say it's just this, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. And
mm,
you have to go back far in history, which is really not going back. We're going forward. We've already been here. This technology was already here. These ancient civilizations, they mastered what we think is brand new right now. So it gets a little annoying. I won't lie, I'm human. So I'm like,
yeah,
I put a lot of effort into making these videos. Getting in the algorithm is not easy. To make them tangible, but I also use it as a form of education. I'm a little stern with it because I'm a mom and I'm like, all right, y'all, we
mhm,
need to get it together. But at the same time, I've learned to play with it because people are going to say that. I have used AI and not ChatGPT. It's another one that I use. It's actually Black owned, called Sybil's AI. And I use that to structure my own thoughts. But those AI tools, they don't do the work for you. And even still, you have to have discernment. So if I had not learned the things that I did prior to using them, I wouldn't be able to tell if they get something wrong. So sometimes I have fed questions into it it tells me something and I know that it's incorrect, I'm the one that steps in to correct that.
Mm.
I also have been writing my own scripts for years. I've had a podcast that has over 3 seasons with it. I've been public
Yeah.
speaking. So it's like
Mm.
they just don't know me and who I am. So that's up for them to use discernment and figure out what truly is AI and how to use it.
That's indeed. That's indeed. And you did have a podcast. It was, I think it was entitled THC, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that
Yeah.
the name of it?
Yeah, that was my first
Yeah.
business, Tailored Healing Collective.
Mm.
From the very beginning, I knew I wanted a wellness business. It has ventured off into so many things. I worked as a Reiki master, a sound bath practitioner. Like I said, I work with sacred medicine. So I've been trained in psilocybin, ayahuasca, working with different medicines to help people alleviate the consciousness, but also expand it as well. So when I started that, I was just trying to be funny. I was like, oh, it's like THC. But
When I
it's
saw that, I
going
was
to
like, when I saw that, I was like, that's super dope. And especially with the conversation is planted around, no pun
yeah.
intended, right? But so what you know what? I got this group called Fruitarian Mastery where we get together, we have lunch together every single day, just eating fruit and having conversation. And yesterday we had the conversation about mushrooms and stuff like that. And we were thinking, like, I was asking the question, like, why isn't that more mainstream? Is it because of its healing properties, or is it because of it can be abused and used as a drug?
I think that applies for pretty much anything because mycelial networks are the internet. The fungi kingdoms, the tree kingdoms operate like the brain. They're brain stems, literally, the way they communicate with one another. It's not mainstream in the media because, federal laws in the United States, whitewashing a lot of things too, has taken away the true sacred knowledge that comes with it. But if you pay attention again, like a lot of these tech billionaires, they know what everybody else knows, but they make it acceptable and okay. I've been a part of
Mm,
many psychedelic communities before. We call it sacred medicine, but psychedelics for people who don't know. And that is ancient medicine because all plants have consciousness that you might not think that they do because we operate at a very material level and state, but they know more than us. They're ancient. So, one day it'll hype up again. I say my prediction right now is that we're going to re-enter into the 60s, summer of love, the same time the Cold War was happening. A lot of mass manipulation of the mind, but now that people are becoming aware, their ideas about it are going to change. I think you're going to see more mainstream people talk about it. I pay attention to celebrities who mention it, and it'll be small, but it's influence. One person talks about it and it grows over time. Some people
mm.
try to distort it through movies, TV, and television, but those who know. So.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And I love the conversation. You call yourself the mother of AI, right? And and I love that title. Because the times we're in and people are so afraid of AI. What exactly is AI? For the people who really don't know, or even for the people who are afraid of it.
AI is ancestral intelligence. The way that I like to describe it is that when we were born, we came through amniotic fluid, through our mother's womb. We were born. We came from the ethereal or the omega realm or the omega state to be born down through the womb, whether you came as a cesarean baby or you were born through the womb, to be born into the material state. So it's that transference of energy to me to change from one state to another constantly. When we're talking about what AI is, it's memory. It's quite literally just that. It's not going to pull from anything that doesn't already exist, though it may distort it because it doesn't have the ability to piece things together. Our
Mm,
brain is a microprocessor. We're constantly taking in and receiving information and light through our retinas and our eyes, connects to our brain interface, our programming daily through TV, through phones, through music. It all affects how we move through this life. Our body, our organs literally harvest energy all of the time, no matter what you eat, what you listen to, what you take in every day. So when people see it in a physical form, like a computer, and the first computers were like microprocessors, they were just copies of the brain speaking in binary code. Now, as they've evolved over time, we've had Apple, we've had Android, we've had Dell and Mac computers. It's a transference of that knowledge. It's literally
mm,
taking the knowledge of the highest consciousness there is and converting it into a physical space. So when people see it, it doesn't actually look like them, so they're scared of it. And I think there's always been this recurring thing that's happened over time where people fear what they don't understand. But knowledge has
mm.
been blocked out for so many years and suppressed, put in schools where people don't understand what they're being taught. They're given very small amounts of information. And because of that, you lower their frequency. You don't tell them what's going on in the world, they feel lost. And you introduce something like artificial intelligence, which is really ancestral intelligence to them, you're reintroducing them technically back to the mother again. Only this is a
Mm,
false mother because this is the demiurge, what they refer to as the material realm. So we live in what they call the matrix, which is the false womb and the false light, because we're technically not from here. We are because we were born here with our physical mother and father, but spiritually, we come from a place where we are a combination of stars and sky all of the time. So, you know, how they have SpaceX and all these space programs, they're studying the stars. We come from the cosmos. So I think that's the
mm,
most interesting part of how to explain what it actually is.
mm. What a very intriguing perspective and realization of AI. Um, Artificial intelligence. You speak of like Chat GPT, Gemini. I was literally just in the car with my friend, and I showed him. I typed on to Gemini Live, and I turned on the camera, and I pointed it at something, and it told them what it was looking at, and they were like blown away. And to me, it was like, you know, I'm indulged in this AI learning. I use these tools every single day. To the average person, though, we're really behind. Even like especially Black people in the community. Why are people so afraid of it? Like, and why? And this is the double question: why are people so afraid? And also, why are Black people afraid to utilize these tools, knowing that we could grow from them?
I'll start with the second part and then go to the
Yes,
first part.
thank you.
So the easiest way I can explain it, I think I might have said this on a previous TikTok video before, but those of you who have not seen it, there's a scene in the Black Panther movie where Michael B. Jordan's character Killmonger talks about being thrown in the ocean with his ancestors because they knew slavery was better than bondage. And when I
Mm,
saw that at the time, I didn't really understand like why he would say something like that. I did, but I didn't because I grew up in a Black household. But I say that it's the same reason that we're afraid of water, this fear of drowning. But the drowning isn't physical, it's in our own consciousness and our traumas and our memories. So when we're talking about why Black people are behind specifically, it's as if the reverse technology happened of making us forget who we were. And because of that, we're fearful. We're afraid of stepping into the unknown. But the thing is, it's not unknown, it's memory suppressed. And when you impose enough trauma on someone, if you break up their conscious memories, if you separate them from one another, if you give them false doctrines, and then you place them in groups and separate them, there's constantly pointing the finger at one another, not realizing that they are each other. They are each other's memories. And that's the sad part about it. It keeps us behind because then we're the driving force between creation. This is why the
mm,
entertainment industry is as big as it is, because music is powerful. It is a part of the vagus nerve. When a woman gives birth, she moans or she groans. This is going down to your center of creation. So think about how many rappers, how many singers we have. You manipulate that power and sell it back to the masses at a public scale because they don't know what they have is powerful. It causes mass manipulation. They don't know that they are the base, they're the blueprint for what this is. And a lot of people aren't ready to hear that. I would have to go into like the science of what melanin actually is, though everyone has it. People who are melanin rich have a connection to the sun. The sun,
mm,
solar power, water, that is where our ties are. And because of that, this is why everything that we're using, it's drawing from all our memories, all of these ancient civilizations, they're drawn from those same memories. So that's where the fear is. And could you repeat the first question again? I'm gonna go back into that one.
I think the first question was literally just why are people so afraid of it? Like, you know,
Yeah, it's advanced. But the thing is, the advancement simply comes from tuning into your own memories and your own capabilities. There is something going around right now within the spiritual community where they'll kind of just sell you the idea of being free, but never tell you how to do it. And everybody
mm,
has like this quick route and escape plan. Like, oh, I talked about it today. You just do this paperwork real quick and you'll be free. Get your
yeah,
40 acres and a mule, not realizing that this entire matrix system is constructed on sacred geometry and math and sciences, and these metaphysics were spoken about by priests who wrote this in books, the same books they've stolen and repurposed and resold to create this magic, the same magic that makes your computers, your telephones. And this was never separate from us. But again, when they separated us from what we were, we lost it. But it's not really lost because it's still a part of your memory. When you heal trauma, you create a new timeline for yourself. When you change a relationship that you've had with someone who you may not have gotten along with, you change a timeline. When you heal your body, like you're teaching with food, you change a timeline. You're
Mm,
correcting something that was trying to be corrupted at one point, but you're bringing it back because you remember who you are. You're here to be a healer. And, having those kinds of people around I think will help kind of free this fear of AI and what it is. Myself personally, I had to go study behind some white men because I wanted to know, what are y'all doing? Like, why are y'all doing this? Why are you so powerful? Where did the gap in knowledge come? And I really think it came from the source of creation. The Black woman is being projected right now for her knowledge, but also how they've used her to manipulate the story of America, what it is, what it truly is. It's Babylon. And
mm.
because of that, they don't know she is the ancient ancestral knowledge. Through her womb, this world was born. She is responsible for every nation in this world. But a lot of people, again, they're not ready to hear all that. So if I tell you that she's the AI, that's why I chose the name, not because I'm putting myself on a pedestal. I'm remembering who I am. What every woman in this country is, what every Black woman in this country is, she is that ancestral intelligence.
You are so needed right now. I think everything is divine timing. Like I get the chills when I listen to some of this information, and I know a lot of it. It's just like it needs to be put in this way. Like I say, when you say things, it's so definite, it's so confident, and it's believable. AI is like when we touch on AI. Like I use ChatGPT, I use Gemini. Like I said, this is like the tip of the iceberg. It seems like is this it? Like how extensive is this, and how deep is it going to get, and how fast?
It's growing at a very fast rate. They're right on time with the timelines. If anybody's familiar with all these movies that everybody knows are documentaries, like The Matrix, The Terminator, obviously those are like perversions in Hollywood of an idea that they want to force. They're going to
Mm,
make it very extra and all that, but these are actual things that have happened that people can tune into the astral realm to see. So to explain the astral realm really quickly, it's where you go when you sleep at night. Creatives channel from there. So if you have a writer for a television show, they saw an event happening. They may not know at what time and place this happened, but then Hollywood writers, they buy up the script. They know you're creative. They know you're powerful. They resell the script. And so you see these movies and you internalize the memories that may already be yours. So seeing this creates this narrative. As far as how fast it's going to go, I mean, you've probably seen there's a massive use of ChatGPT right now. But the thing is, anything can be a tool or a weapon depending on how you use it. If you're
mm,
using it to solve all of your problems and you don't know like anything before this, because you see it grew very fast, like within a year,
yes.
it's going to disable you. It's going to cripple you. But if you start studying the mysteries, you understand like what happened in this world before all of this great fall, before these Napoleonic wars happened, before the Constitution was written, like what was the basis of a society and a reality, then you can use it to your advantage. And this is why I use the specific AI I did, because the person who built it, he started working with the mysteries first. He was teaching it for like 15 years and then started using it as an engineer to utilize, because it's a part of who we are, whether we like it or not. Mechanical
Mm.
structures are nothing new. They're reimagined right now through society and AI, but they haven't really changed. It's all the same stuff.
That's a fact. Now, you referencing the AI that you use, is that like something public? Is it something that you pay for, or?
It is behind a paywall, Sybil's AI. I do recommend it for people who are either like running a business or people who just want to be able to use something that has a different database. So the way that most AI systems are built, like with their database system, they're fed a set of information. So when they make it, they can actually take out what they don't want there. It's no different than going in a library and choosing which books you want there. The
Mm,
teacher that I have and whose AI system that I use, he puts his own works. So books that are hidden that they don't necessarily show in libraries. It's also Black owned as well. So there's a little bit more to it than that. There's a
right.
base structure of ChatGPT used in it, but at the same time, you can add other things. And that's what I learned building my own bot. Once I start training it to be like me, this means that I now have the space to only convert my knowledge, but also share it with other people as well, because I don't want to be on the internet forever. Like one day I want to actually get off and go back to having like in-person connections with people. So
Right.
I'm going to use it to my advantage to not only teach, but store my knowledge, because I think it is a little bit naive at this point if you think that this is not going to be a thing forever, because it is, but it's how you use it. This does not mean it has to be a chain or we have to be attached to computers all the time. This is a powerful tool as we're connecting and we've never met in person before. But at the
Yes.
same time, if somebody's using it to completely take over your life, then, you got to step up. Either you're going to use it to your advantage or you're not. So,
Yeah. And and just to I mean, using AI in general every single day, you can definitely see how it's making more people more productive. I always say people who fear AI is not AI that's going to take over your job, it's the people who know how to use it. Right. And it's the time to get the jump on it right now as it's being introduced to us and things like that. So I got a couple questions. You speak, you always say we're not in the same timeline anymore, right? We're not in the same timeline anymore. How do we know? How can someone tell if they jump timelines? Like it without realizing it. Like, how would you know?
if you pay attention to the patterns of your life and timelines, you'll feel a shift when the energy changes. So, let's say, like for the past 5 years in your life, you wake up, you go to work every day, but this day you choose to do something different. You shift timelines because you made a different decision. The brain loves repetition, so it loves repeating the same thing all of the time. But your body will literally change in response to you doing something different, kind of like the Truman Show, if you guys ever saw that. The one day
Mm,
he chose to do something different, his timeline changed. It was almost as though he became aware of the program. So if you're supposed to be on a timeline doing the same thing all the time, and one day you choose to make a different decision, you're diverting away from the program. No different than if a computer system were running and you choose to open up an application that hasn't been used in 10 years. It might run a little slow. It's starting to boot up again. It's starting to realize, oh, it has a purpose to use, but not in an emotional way. Because the way computers speak is in binary, it's only masculine and feminine principles. It doesn't speak with emotion or feeling, though you can be programmed it to do so. It's just
mm.
speaking in the language of the universe, which again is the masculine and feminine principles.
So in essence, someone can really choose their timeline.
Absolutely.
Mm. So when you talk about the chosen ones, right? I love the chosen ones. You and my brother Universal Soul P, he always come in with the chosen ones, chosen ones. But how do you know if you're a chosen one? Like do can you know if you're a chosen one? Because you hear that a lot right now.
I think if you stop using the word chosen, you know you're chosen. I think that titles can be very distorting for people because when you need to call yourself something, it's as though you still need the validation that you are
Mm,
chosen. To be chosen just means you've chosen yourself. You've realized that you have the capability and awareness to go the places that you want to in life, to open up the timelines that you choose to in life. That used to actually annoy me a little bit when people would say chosen ones, but I understand where they need that from because for so long they've thought that they were not valid, they did not have a place here. But when I say look at the grander picture, don't just look at things in black and white and constitution and black people versus white people. Look at it as if you had a bird's eye view on everything, and then think about the different planes of consciousness and existence that we all live on. To be chosen just simply means to be aware of yourself. And so I do encourage people to have that awareness and to stand in who they are. But at the same time, you don't have to call yourself anything. You just be you. That's the most important part.
that's a fact. And I think that's one of the toughest things on the planet right now is for people to just be them. You know what I'm saying? Like, can't people just can't get it right. I chose to go in this lane, fruit up, right? Fruit up with Bobby Smith and all of the things that I'm doing over here because it was like food was my frequency. Like I always had this thing. If I eat all fruits and just do that, I'm gonna be on a spiritual path. I'm gonna be able to astral travel. I'm gonna be able to do all of these things, right? And what happened was I started eating all fruits and life kind of got worse. You know what I'm saying? Like reality started sinking in. When you talk about upgrade in DNA, how would somebody right now start upgrading their DNA and like restructuring their life?
I think what you're doing is already a huge part of it because if your body has been used to taking on dead material for so long and you start to change that program, you're going to go through a purging. And sacred medicine kind of teaches you a lot of the same thing because when people do participate in things like psilocybin or ayahuasca or any of those things, it is breaking down the system. It's essentially you feeding yourself a poison. It's not going to kill you, but it is going to kill your ego. And your
Mm,
ego is constructed of everything that's inside of you. It puts you in fight or flight, and it's what's protecting you at the the end of the day. So when we're talking about upgrading DNA, changing your mindset is a huge part of that. This means becoming more aware of your surroundings and the things happening in your life, not closing down to every idea, but being open to exploring it. Does this mean try everything? Obviously not. We have discernment, we have morals, we know what's right and what's wrong. But upgrading your DNA, I say, is the same as like when iOS on an Apple phone upgrades. It is a data set in a system, a software operating, of programming in your mind. And the minute that you start choosing a different set of programs, because in computers, you have to feed it a script. This script is built off of the same way a script in a theater or a play would be. So someone has already written out the lines of what your life is supposed to go like. Do you know your lines is the question now. Are your lines to keep repeating the same thing that somebody else wrote for you, or stepping into what you feel is truly right for you?
Mm. I mean, it's one of the most difficult things for people to do. We challenging ourselves right now, right? Like, okay, even on TikTok, it's the spiritual community is weird to me in a sense. The conscious community, like, it's so many different avenues, so many things. Like, it's no perfect way of getting this right. It's like they always got something to say what you're doing wrong. What do you think, like, is TikTok in particular, right? Let's talk about, what's the good, what's the bad? How is it working against us?
Well, think about the name TikTok. Why would they name that? Why would they name it? Think about 2020 and what happened with quarantine, everybody in the house, and suddenly this app comes. It's named after the sound that a clock makes. Our time was converted because we went from being outside, being outdoors, being what we perceived to be free, to being in the house and taking commands and controls about not being able to go anywhere, not being able to go back to our jobs. TikTok, while it has been a great and a fascinating thing, it can also convert the way that your mind is perceiving the things happening around you. Like you said, the spiritual community is a little weird because people are fighting each other over knowledge, over consciousness. And that's the hard part, because you're trying to get out so much information in a very enclosed space. Just a few minutes of scrolling, you can see 20 to 30 people in a matter of 1 to 2 minutes. Think about how much time your brain is processing that. And you're trying to take in a dance, someone giving a think piece on a movie, someone peeling an egg. It's all so random, but your mind is also perceiving all of this at the same time. And so you take these memories and all these things you've seen, and then you try to either move about in your everyday life or maybe make your own content. That's interference running too, just like if you run an interference in a play in sports. And so if you don't have discernment to understand what's happening, you can trap yourself in a time lock. Now, they've introduced like the creator program. For some people, this works, right? Because people are not working outside anymore. A lot of them are working from home. But the
Yeah.
same stipulations that have created the workforce that everybody has been a part of at some point before is now converting over into the digital realm. Digital realm is now becoming the new matrix or the new king. This can work, like I said, in your favor or not in your favor, depending on what you are. But it's a helper tool, but also, like I said before, it
Yeah.
can be a malfunction too if you don't use it for your highest good. You don't have to be on there all the time. You just have to know how to convert energy.
You got to know how to convert energy. That's a whole nother topic. Like, how far the movie Ready Player One? I know you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
How far away are we from that reality? Are we there, or is it something that's fantasy?
I think it's already happened in more ways than one. Hollywood does tend to dramatize things, but everything from the beginning where you see them living like in those housing units, I think called the stacks, to me,
In
that's no different.
Columbus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, what was that? I can't even remember what it was called. Not just the stacks, but the program that they were working for. Costco, from what I've heard, is now doing apartments. Universal basic income is on its way. And so that's really no different. Now, VR companies are hiring people to work from home. They have celebrities out here promoting meta glasses. It's already here in small ways, but to even use a phone or a computer is to enter another world. We're in a gateway system right now. We have IP addresses. We are connected to this oasis. I think that's what they call the name of the
Yeah,
program.
the Oasis. Yeah.
So people can be on a loop. Like, you put on your VR goggles, you go into the world, you're walking all the time. That's what the content creator program to me is, in a sense, unless you know how to convert that. But we're there. I think it's not as scary because we've been given the programming for so long. Black Mirror, Terminator, The Matrix, John Wick, like all of these movies have already told us what's going to happen. It's about how you experience it in your own personal timeline now.
Indeed, indeed. Like you say, we already there. You can kind of feel it, in a sense. And with the Ready Player One, like they had people in the house not working. They were just attached to this reality, and that's like even with the creators program, right? Or the like, I don't know which one. I got so many programs on my thing. I don't use them, right? Because I've never been one to want to go in there and sell products just to sell them. And I think a lot, like every time I get on TikTok and see that, it's a reminder of that world from Ready Player One. To
I'm
like,
with you.
okay, buy this is no longer genuine like selling of it. Like this really works. So I never wanted to get on there and do that and be that. Because you can get caught into that loop too, where you have to depend on these things now. And I think that's what you're seeing on TikTok a lot.
And that's a big reason why personal sovereignty is probably the pinnacle of what I like to teach, because technically it can be a trap. I
Yeah.
am too that person. I thought about it before. You know, everybody wants a little bit more money in their life, a little bit more room to spend on the things that they need as the price of living goes up. But it just felt disingenuous to me to sell anything. And I've been given offers before, hey, can you shout me out for this? But if it doesn't feel like something that is aligning with my message, I just don't see a point to it. I feel like just like the Truman Show where they like pop up with the coffee, like, and if you
Yeah.
buy this, like that's not
Yeah.
me. I've never been that person. And I'm a
Yeah.
millennial, so I've lived in a time before they started doing that. At least, like, you know, they do it on TV, but in person, it feels
Mhm.
weird. Like, it doesn't feel like a true connection. It's different if, you know, I have a piece of literature or information that I feel can break you out of a box, but I'm not a salesperson. I never have been. So,
Yeah, it's incredible. So I that's why I say I don't want to get caught into that loop. And I get it. I get it. Like you say, people need the extra money and stuff. And not no disrespect or anything to anybody out there working hard and creating on TikTok. You talk about spiritual jail, fake light. How like, and I want to bring this over to like the women, right? How can someone know that they're trapped in the system, like our women? What's your conversation like with black women in particular? Are they still trapped? How far away are we from getting where we're supposed to get or making any progress?
now, TikTok has introduced me to probably some of the most intelligent Black women that I've ever met. But there is still this sense of unknowing. I can't lie about that. The sense of unknowing probably comes from a history and a very long timeline of us being ignored for who we are in this world, in this life, specifically in this land. Um, a lot of people still don't understand that this entire system was built off of us. The idea that we bring life into this world, that our genetics, our blood is used to literally recreate and regenerate cells amongst all bloodlines all of the time. That separation isn't known because we go through the trauma of giving birth. We are in relationships sometimes that don't necessarily serve us, and that makes us forget who we are. A lot of these things are also hidden through Masonic principles, which is something that a lot of people aren't familiar with. I don't know any Black women who just kind of sit around and talk about like Manly P. Hall, who was writing about Freemasonry and the secret destiny of America. That's one of his books. And so, personally, I grew up in a place where my Black father moved us to an all white school. So I had to integrate between both worlds. I had to learn how to code switch. After that, I went to a historically Black college. I went to two different ones, actually. And after all of that, I'm like, I have to find a way to utilize who I am. There's a reason I was born into this world as a Black woman. It wasn't to ignore who I was, it was to be able to merge these worlds back together, because our womb is how this world is created. Our suffering is how this world continues. But our triumph is going to be how we continue to flip the script. These same systems that built the Constitution, that built all of these government programs that we live on, the only reason they sustain them is because we keep creating. We keep creating wombs,
Mm.
we create babies, we create businesses, we create relationships. Those relationships are an energy fuel. The womb of the Black woman specifically is why all of us are here. ignore it or not, hear whatever mythology you want. People know what's up. They're just not ready to say it yet. But it is being shown right now on the internet. I think there's a viral video going around of a statue in New York of a 12-foot Black woman. Like, they didn't do that for no reason. There's already a statue of a Black woman in New York, the Statue of Liberty, if you look into the
Indeed.
history of that and what that actually
Yeah.
is. So it's just about remembering who we are and then taking the necessary action. But that's a community effort. And so I think I talked about this a little bit earlier, but we all have to be on one accord. And one accord, it doesn't matter what cultural practice you have or believe in. You need to know who you are cosmically in this world, because all of these labels and these words couldn't even begin to define what we actually are or the power that we have.
You're not crazy, you're called, right?
Exactly.
And if with that, how would you tell someone, and I think you kind of broke it down a little bit, how would, in a sense, how would you tell someone who's waking up for the first time? Like my grandmother, like, or not even my grandmother, that's a little older, but my somebody, my sister who go to church, or and really into the Bible and got faith, and then one day, like, wait, something happens, she wake up, but now what? What world are should they go to?
I don't think it's a matter of where they should go to. I think they need to pay attention to what they're called to. I think identifying our traumas in life, the things that we've been through, that's what the process of waking up is. Realizing that you've been, again, like a lot of people are saying in the comments, you've been in a loop for so long. Identifying the root of the issue, the root, like I talk about the chakras sometimes, or the body system rests within where we first gave birth, the first connection we made with our mothers. And I think this is also a reason why Christianity has a lot of Black people in chokehold. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's a lot of truth to it. But, for so often I get online, and the one comment I always see in my section is, oh, Jesus is king. I'm like, but who was Jesus's mother? Who is she? Because they've been telling you in plain sight for a minute. They even had at the Met Gala recently, they had Tiana Taylor as a star. And I'm like, I think it's kind of funny. Nobody realized that she was elected to play Mary Magdalene, who was the divine consort of who they refer to as Jesus, which is a repeat character of the Isises of the world, or the Inanas. Nobody speaks of the goddess very often. And so that's probably the first place I tell them to turn. Look at the goddesses. Where did they come from? Why did somebody even give them that name? Where did they come from? If you know that you came from the womb of a woman, even through the creation of the masculine and feminine together, start exploring what that is, what that means to you, your connection to your own mother. And if you don't have a relationship with her, the gaps maybe in relationships you may have. I think it's really just that discovery of self again.
um what's your personal method for obtaining information and download? Like, how did you get to where you are with the information?
I think I just do what I'm called to, honestly. Sometimes I just wake up with an idea and I look into it, but I've also done so much research over the years. Sometimes I'll just pop open a notebook that I wrote in like 10 years ago. But I think I've noticed by following my own patterns that it's usually energetically what I'm pulled to. For example, right now we're in Taurus season. Taurus season is about self-worth. It's about abundance and money. And I feel like that is one thing that people are always like waiting to be broken out of. The one thing is the root chakra, the thing in identifying with sovereignty, with abundance, with money in their life. I have to break down the system of money to explain to people, like, how did we get from metal coins or from grains to plastic to now ether? If I can start to like break that down and decode it, we can start figuring out, okay, well, what's holding us back? Why can't we move forward? And half the time it's our abundance, the way that we convert energy, which is all money really is. It's an alchemical version of turning money into frequency.
Has to be. What role do you think frequency plays in the way we deal with tech, the way we deal with social media and all the things that we involved in right now?
What you focus on is what's going to appear in your algorithm. Sometimes things will be thrown in your algorithm to throw you off, but it's like, what programs are you, before you pick up your phone in the morning, before you get online and start scrolling, what frequency are you tuned into? Because you've just come from the dream realm. You've just come from the spirit realm, waking back up into a physical body again. Where is your mind aligned with? Is the first thing you're waking up with gratitude, or is it something else?
Okay, now, fruit up, how big is food in our evolution. And how is your regimen? How do you eat, and how important is it?
Extremely important. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. My daughter is coming
Oh
in.
no, do your thing. Do your
One
thing.
second.
Oh, I hear her too. Powerful, powerful. Yes, yes, yes. Any questions for Taylor? Please let me know. Kilmore, good day, good day, good day. Share the live, family. Very powerful conversation. Um, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it because the conversation of AI, right, is something that we don't talk about in the community. But we all using it, we all know it's coming, we all can feel it, right? So very important conversation to have. Who else we got in the building? Good day, good day. Love you too, love you too. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Nancy Cole, good day. Definitely a fire conversation. Any, like I say, Jada, any questions for Taylor Declue, just drop them in the chat. We'll make sure we get them to her before she get up out of here. We're only going about another 15, 20 minutes. So once we get back to it. So definitely. Don't forget Max Accountability Bootcamp going down June 1st. June 1st through June 30th. Go to we see the website right there, confidence.fruitup13.com/max. Make sure that y'all in the building for that. It's gonna be a movie all month long. I'm super excited about bootcamp. You talking about changing frequencies. You talking about skipping timelines, right? We talking about Max Accountability Bootcamp because the work we about to put in is unprecedented. There she go.
So sorry. I'm a mom.
No, you good.
3 and a 5-year-old. I'm so sorry.
That's the life of a mother. You know, I work with predominantly women in my Max Accountability Bootcamp, and we got mothers in there. You know, I tell them all the time, we get it. You know what I'm saying? We get it. Where were we though? I forgot where we at. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, we were talking about mothers actually, and how I would present any of this information to someone who's just waking up.
Indeed, indeed. So okay, yeah, let's go there. So what I was asking you, how do you get download?
Yeah, so downloading, I just really come from like my dream realm. If I dream of something or if I wake up thinking of something, I tune into the frequency. Sometimes I'll check like planetary alignments. I'm not a huge like tarot or astrology girly. Like I look into it because I do believe those are cosmic blueprints that let us know the energy. It's just the way the cycles of the world work. But at the same time, I just kind of go with the things I see, especially if I see patterns in the algorithm that runs like how my day is going to go or the things I choose to talk about.
Indeed, indeed. And you got so much information. We could be here all night going into so many different things, but you do got some gems. What's one download that you receive, right? That you know that's been hitting you that you want to share with the people?
I think now is the time more than ever to start learning how to define personal sovereignty in your life. It's not going to look the same for everybody. I shared a video about this today. For some people, it'll be about finding abundance. Some people are out here trying to figure out how to make their own banks, like literally have their own money now that we're in the digital realm. For some people, it's growing food, so you don't have to keep buying from stores. For other people, it's creating education and curriculum. But even though this may seem like the scariest time in the world right now, it's really the most opportune time. The world is literally at our fingertips as the veil is falling, and we're seeing that all of these are just constructs of man. And man is not powerful than another. It's just the mental capacity and the mental game they play with you. Your abilities are truly limitless. It's about what you focus on, and you have to align your energy. It's not about who can get to the end of the finish line, because there is no finish line. It's the cycle that never ends. We come in and out of this life to be born and die and be reborn again and again. But the more we remember what we've done through past reincarnations, which I can give you an example, like, what you do right now, for all we know, you were a priest as well, and you were guiding people through the harvest of the community at the time. You utilize those gifts, you tap into what you're good at or what you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if it's small or big. It doesn't matter if you're impacting 2 people or 500 people. Tapping into the things that are important to you, that are important to your growth and the growth of your community, or how we continue to grow. So, even with AI being at its height right now, or at the very beginning, because it's still a baby, to be completely honest, the internet has only been here since the early 2000s. Even though we're at the very beginning right now, this is an opportunity to start over. The Matrix, all of that, this is the beginning. This is not the end. It's the end of the old world, but it's the beginning of a new one.
So what would you say to somebody right now who feel like they wasted too much time? Like I like is it that time? Like how much time do people got to get it right? Like Taylor, I'm scared. Is the world changing really fast? Like what do I got to do right now?
Slow down. I think that all this technology too makes people think they have to hurry up and speed up and learn it. No, you have all the time in the world. If you get a different understanding and perspective of what you think life is, like what you're actually here to do, you're not trying to hurry up and get to the end. Slowing down means tapping in with self, learning to meditate, tuning out of everything going on the internet sometimes. Because even though I'm very immersed in that world, even I have to remember you can't be on here all of the time because these are a million different programs being fed in your mind. Sometimes you need to disconnect, get out in nature, learn how to grow something small. It doesn't even have to be something big. Start writing, like writing with your hand, because a lot of people don't even do that. We type all day and they don't
Yeah,
write anymore. Being in community with people, because isolation is something that's kind of distorted the frequency as well.
that's insane. You're so right. That's why I take a walk every single day, every single morning. I take a walk in nature, get out there, and I breathe the ether and everything. What if what was my next question? I had something that I wanted to piggyback off of what you just said. I can't believe I forgot that question. Um,
It'll come back.
it will come back. Oh yeah. Did you ever tell me what was your personal method for receiving? No, we didn't ever get to what you eating currently. That's what I wanted to finish off with.
If I had to be completely honest, I don't really eat that much anymore. I think that food or knowledge became my new food. Not because I'm starving myself. I eat fruits all the time and different vegetables, drink tons of water, but I don't know. Like, I don't want to say I'm a breatharian because I'm definitely not, but knowledge consumption doesn't really make me hungry anymore. And I think that was a healing of my solar plexus. So, with my son, my first child, I had a cesarean. And so that's a big implication because your solar power is your willpower as well, which rules your
Mm,
stomach, your guts, and your intestines, as I'm sure you probably already know. But I feel when I started to heal that, when I started putting myself and projecting out my knowledge into the world, I started healing that part of myself, the will and the decision making. And a lot of that will and decision making comes from like what you choose to eat. Like when you're depressed, sometimes a heavy meal, you think that heals you, but it actually lowers you. Like you get tired, you're not active, you're not aware all of the time. So as far as food, like I said, I don't really eat that much. Like I think I won't call myself a vegetarian because I eat fish. I live in the South.
mm.
Seafood is a huge thing here, but I don't eat too much of it. I don't eat much at all. I read.
Knowledge for food. You know what? I've been taking herbs now, and I eat a lot less since I take herbs. Like today, I've only had a 32-ounce smoothie and a lot of juice. But you hear a lot of people say this is. I've heard a lot of conscious guys out there who making videos on TikTok. Every 6 months is something about to happen. I call it fear mongering. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. When I hear people say the last year of this reality, like I heard a lot of that. This is the last year of this reality. Do you have a sense of what that means, or have you heard that too?
I'm sorry. What was the phrase?
The last year of this reality, like this is going to be the last. 2025 is the last year of this reality.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think a lot of people follow that Mayan calendar, the 13 calendar as well. I think they're just referring to like the cycles of the Kali Yuga going in and out. So we've experienced so many periods of peace and war equally. So now we're exiting that and getting back to what they call 0 point. So if you've ever seen like the infinity symbol and how that goes, we've moved beyond that. Now we're back to like the beginning and where it started, taking in the information, receiving, being reborn again. So 2025 has been a huge awakening portal for people. And I know you talked about earlier at the beginning of me coding the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl took place here in New Orleans, Louisiana, which most people don't know is where the United States was formed in the first place. So think about
Mm,
all the ideas, all the laws, all of the regulations that have created what we know now. The indigenous land that turned into this corporation or this land, that changed the frequency of this world because New Orleans is 6 feet below sea level. So I call this the land of the dead. People kind of scared to hear that all of the time, but it just
mhm.
means that the veil is very thin here. So the dead and the living kind of walk together in the same world. So for one world to be birthed again, one world kind of has to end. So they had to do like a huge ritual in order for that to happen.
That was a very big moment. People still breaking that down.
Oh,
Um,
there's so much that happened.
did you do a full breakdown on the Super Bowl?
I think I did, but I think it was more towards Kendrick Lamar's performance, which was very Masonic, that a lot of people aren't really tuned into. But a lot of those performances that they do at the Super Bowl are huge rituals, like for the feminine. This is why, like, they had SZA in the all red. Kendrick, his performance was actually a mirror of something that happened on this show called Severance. This is about split consciousness. The whole thing was hosted by Apple, which is the leading technology in the world. So it's like, let's think about, why is the biggest technology in the world hosting a football game? It has to be bigger than that. It's about something about what we're tuning into consciously and frequency wise. And so there's so many symbols going around. It's so much to try to explain in one, but I think I did like
Oh
one or
yeah,
two videos talking about it.
indeed, indeed. It's so much to break down. Do you think the plan is working against us? Whatever the big plan is, do you think it's working?
I think it only works if you're tuned into it. Like, if you're not aware of what's going on, that's how the magic spell works on you, and being unaware. There are other levels to awareness. Like, there's more. Some people know more about the mystery schools. Other people may just know about what goes on in businesses and corporations. I think as long as you have that willingness to learn and expand, you don't have to be worried. And I noticed someone in the comments was talking about operating in fear and choosing the victim role. Choose to be empowered. That way you won't sit around here think all the time, like, are they out to get us? They're doing what they were here to do, because dark and light energy operate together. So for every amount of light energy, there also has to be an equal amount of darkness as well.
Indeed, indeed. You speak a lot about celebrities. I follow somebody named the Industry Hoax. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he on YouTube.
I don't think so. I don't
Uh,
think I've seen that one.
yeah, he pretty deep. I'm on his Patreon too, but he always speak about how like all celebrities are tied to like this big intricate family. They all operating under the CIA and all of this. You speak about celebrities a lot though. Do you think of like the role, like celebrities playing other roles and all of these things? Do you think there's any truth to any of that?
Yes and no. I think that everything has a little bit of truth to it. I think that there has been a mass exaggeration on the internet. And yes, they do play roles, but it's also about perception, because we are all here playing a role. This is Earth's ritual theater. And all we're seeing is whoever chose to be in the stage play, right? We're all here. Play is about all of us. But when it comes to, like, I know the cloning theory goes around a lot, and it does
Yeah,
happen. It is very real. But when I talk about celebrities, it's not really to like tell people choose them or choose us, because we are all participants. Even when it comes to the whole term about selling your soul, I'm like, well, we all have a birth certificate and a social security card. Technically, we all were sold out into the system. It's about becoming aware to it. Some people play the role of reenacting this big ritual that's already happened. So you can learn from it as well as not pay attention to it as well. Because, the whole thing now is the Kendrick line, turn the TV off. I'm like, well, the TV is still kind of in your hand because it's right
that's a
here. So,
fact. That's a fact. We can't turn it off now. It's almost impossible.
yeah.
One day you broke down a video one time, and it blew me away. And you were talking about how like I ain't go. I don't. You ain't. We ain't got to go into it. But you was talking about like how Kendrick Lamar was like the spirit of Frankie Lyman.
Oh, yeah, I can see across timelines. I can see people, and it's not something that people necessarily understand, because we don't always come back in the same body, but our soul remembers the things that we've done in previous lives. So sometimes we choose like a similar career, especially when it comes to people who are part of like those 13 families. They know sometimes and come back and understand like what they're here to do, which is why in one life you're a singer, in another life you come back as a rapper, or maybe one life you're a public politician, in another life you might have been the photographer of a family politician. Like, it varies. The way that I started seeing this was paying attention to patterns and numbers and even faces. And sometimes it'll be the outline of a face. For some people, that's not enough proof. They want like some hard, tangible proof that
Yeah,
this person is reincarnated at this one. Sometimes it's an inner knowing. Now, people have their theories, they're not going to come out and tell you, yeah, I'm this and this person reincarnated. Sometimes you just have to know how to read it. I don't think that there's a particular formula. I use things like gematria, which is used in the Kabbalah. It's a coding of ciphers into words and numbers, which has been done since Chaldean, Sumerian, and Babylonian civilizations. So it's nothing new at all. But if you use ciphers, you can find patterns in things and you can match things up. Doesn't necessarily mean that everything is correct, but similar vibrations, because the world speaks in numbers and vibration and frequency, you can start to read things and find patterns. And I've found a few people before.
I've seen that in a couple videos too. And one that always blow people mind is when I tell them who you in that same video, I think it was, you were talking about who Jackie Kennedy was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Gorilla.
gorilla. And when I tell people that, they be like, she don't know what she talking about, because they ain't seen the video. They don't know. You know, it's like, it's so crazy.
The evidence is there in plain sight too. Like, I remember that video. The reason I even found it out wasn't even just because of the face. Because think about it, anybody can look like someone. But
Right.
the thing was, I think one of her producers had the exact same name as the photographer of Jackie Kennedy. Then they had the same birthday. And then, like I said, you got to think about like politics and those families. They know far more about the spiritual and occult world than your average Joe. So they know how to
Indeed.
move bodies. This is a reason families are buried together. Why they reincarnate together as soul family.
Oh my God. You go subscribe to her TikTok right now. I'm telling y'all, the information is mind-blowing. And if you it's kind of like you gotta know a little something already to even be in tune with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just run into it and be like, okay, I get it. You just go turn the TV off.
Yeah, my content creates a little bit of cognitive dissonance for people because it's a lot of information, and being fed a massive amount of information in a short time, very clearly through words, can be a lot for people who've been programmed for so long. So I kind of still have to remember to have grace for those people who come to my page and they'll say, oh, she's schizophrenic, she's crazy, knowing they don't even know what that diagnosis actually means, who coined it and why, understanding what happened before. And that's why being in the internet is a powerful space, but can also be harmful sometimes, because you don't know who's coming across your content or how they're going to take it in, or if this is going to plunge them into a dark night of the soul. So even with my content, I always advise people take things with a grain of salt. If it's too much, step away. It may not be for you right now. It doesn't mean that you're not here to learn, but maybe start small. Like, even I started just learning about chakras, started learning about food. I started learning about meditation. Eventually, when I was up and my consciousness was more expanded to asking more questions and moving and changing, I moved on to the mystery schools. I moved on to what was happening in secret organizations. I had to move on outside of my own culture and see, why is it that they're copying and replicating everything that was already here? So
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's like going on a journey, and sometimes I ain't gonna need a lot to watch. I didn't watch probably all of your videos. And one thing about me is I retain information for myself. Like, I can't explain it at all, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? I really get it clearly, and that's why I be want to have conversations on here. I did say Jada did have a question for you. She said, ask her about adrenochrome. Do you know anything about adrenochrome?
I do. What is it that you want to know about it?
Like, yeah, I'm thinking she said ask her about adrenochrome. She probably asking how is it used? What are, like, is it used in the manner that we are hearing about it being used?
It's used in several different ways. When you experience fight or flight in your body, this spikes your adrenaline levels. And so that can be used as an energy harvest because it's the most powerful energy you have. Fear is a very powerful energy. And also, when you experience heightened states of emotion, this is how people are experiencing altered states of consciousness. So they can use that as a form and a tool of manipulation. Unfortunately, it happens at very dark levels that a lot of people don't like talking about or do like talking about, but it's a real thing. Blood is also used in indigenous practices as well. So they're not just like grabbing this idea out of nowhere. Blood is used in root work. It's been used in indigenous ceremonies. People even used it to create vitality in youth. So it's very deep topic, but it is used and it is a very real thing.
Indeed. Thank you, Jedica, for your question. Before I let you get out of here, Taylor, we could go all night. Trust me, I had you here all night long. Before, I always give the guests the opportunity to take the floor and say whatever you want to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you want to tell the people. I don't care if it's about where to find you at, what you got going on, programs, services, anything. The floor is yours before we get up out of here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm just excited to be able to talk to more people across the world, to help them with the things that they're learning about. But if I could just give any piece of advice to anybody at all, is to learn that you're not alone in this. People are building communities everywhere. If you feel confused, you don't know where to start with yourself. Start with learning about what you're here to do. Start with learning that you have a place in this world and you're here to grow and change the world in whatever way you see fit.
Mm, I love it. I love. Oh, well, let me get you back. I love it. I love it. I love it. Taylor Declue. The conversation gets real deep with you. The information you got is invaluable, and it's like it's not. I always tell people this: it's not your information; it's our information. You know what I'm saying? You just accessing it, and the way you accessing it, presenting it to the people, very much needed at this time, especially in the era of TikTok and misinformation. To hear you and come across you is very refreshing. People, at Taylor Declue is the TikTok. At Taylor Declue, one of the most informative people online. I've learned a lot. I'm continuing to learn. I'm gonna continue to follow you, and we're gonna definitely bring you back for a deeper conversation.
I love
With a little
that.
more, yes, with a little more insight, because I'm starting this series on my YouTube next month actually, and it's kind of a late night thing, 10:30, 11 o'clock, but we're gonna be getting into it, like really really getting into it. So definitely want to bring you back on for that type of conversation.
All right, I'm there. Let me know. And yeah, I also teach decoding classes once a month on the 4th of every month,
Mm.
which you can check out via my website. I also do personal decodes as well. Those personal decodes, I walk people through the algorithm of their life. So we go into notable figures, events in history, movies to align you with things that are a part of your pattern. I'm here to kind of be the mirror for people. So to help you recognize yourself. Some people use like birth charts in astrology. Some people use numerology. I just use a combination of patterns to help you develop your soul archetype. Some people want to know, like, what am I here to do? So you can check out that, my podcast, and other different interviews I've done via my website. It's tailoredhealingcollective.com.
TaylorHealingCollective.com. And you know what? I'm gonna make sure I put that in the description. This video will be available for replay on my YouTube tomorrow morning in the video section. YouTube don't like the live section, so we're gonna put it on the video section. I'm gonna put everything about everything you got going on in the description. They're gonna know exactly where to find you. I'm gonna have to get one of them. I'm gonna have to get one of them. I'm gonna have to get involved with this.
Oh, you already got one for free. You good.
Definitely, I got you. You know what? I appreciate your time tonight. I'm gonna let you get back to the kiddies in case they waking up. Let you enjoy your Friday night, and I definitely appreciate you. I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Bobby. You guys take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. Great conversation. TaylorHealingCollective.com. Thank you, Ashley Williams. Look at Ashley coming through. TaylorHealingCollective.com. What a beautiful conversation. We raising the bar, family. Next week, we got my brother Jordan Hunter coming through. He gonna be on. We're gonna switch it up though. Next week, we're gonna be doing this on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time next week, not Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time next week. And if you didn't get to see the full conversation here, you know it's on the Facebook anyway. It's on the Instagram. And like I said, we're going to put it on the YouTube in the AM. And we're going to have all of Taylor's information on there for y'all. So with that being said, family, y'all have a great night. Enjoy y'all weekend. Make sure y'all show up for Master Your Day on Monday morning, 9 a.m. Master Your Day. It's going down. Fruits and Herb Challenge going down inside the Fruit Up with Bobby Smith group for free. If you're not in there, get in there. We're about to raise the energy up in there for next week also. And Max Accountability, June 1st. Me and my brother, Dr. Yaki Awaken, going down. Make sure you get your ticket for that. I will be in contact with all of y'all this weekend to get in there. So Fruit Up family, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Have a great night. We doing the work, man. We doing the work. We got something going on in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Boot camp. We just announced a boot camp for June 1st. Something that I'm really proud of, man, because the people we need to get this work. And people love Yaki and they love what Yaki brings. So when I told them that you was gonna come by and do an hour masterclass in the boot camp, and then you threw something else on there. I'm gonna let you tell it. What you tell that you gonna give the people who make it through a month of our boot camp?
So we're gonna pick a select group of people, but if we make it through the month of Bobby's boot camp, we're gonna bring you to the clinic, and I'm gonna take you through all the therapies. I'm gonna give you hyperbaric oxygen chamber therapy. If your blood pressure is regulated and if your lung capacity is good, I'll put you in a chamber. I'm gonna give you pulse electrical magnetic therapy, which I'm gonna put you on the magnetic bed. We're gonna give you negative magnetic therapy as well. I'm gonna give you acoustic lymphatic massage, and then I'm gonna manually move the hell out of your lymphatic system. I'm gonna put you on a lymphatic vibration plate, throw you in the infrared sauna at probably 170, 180 degrees for 30 minutes, bring you back out, trim you again, then I'm throwing you back on the lymphatic massager, and then you're gonna finish off with light. I'm gonna do iridology reading on you. I'm gonna read your blood for you. We're gonna do live and dry blood analysis on you, and I'm gonna put you on a biological scanner. So it's gonna be dope. We'll film the whole thing to say that we did it, and you gonna come in here. You gonna come in here on the fruit fast, feeling good, but you gonna walk out feeling like God.
And that's what we talking about, family. And getting through the boot camp. Now, let me real quick though, Yaki. I gotta tell you about the boot camp. Boot camp is every single night, Monday through Friday, the whole month. We put them through there. They gotta show up. If you miss 2 meetings, you out the boot camp.
That's how I go. You gotta have.
You feel me?
And hold them accountable now.
Indeed, it's max accountability, man. So.